Hi everyone, I hope you're doing good today. We're going to be looking at creating a multi-step form. So I have got here just a simple form. It's got 6 fields on here, but we're going to break it down into 3 steps, and that's what we're going to be going through today. You know, if you have 6 fields, you're probably not going to want to break it down into these steps. However, it does show you the principles and exactly how to do it. Now I'm using a Next.js application. It's totally empty. There's nothing specific to Next in here. This is styled with Tailwind CSS. So if you want to code along with me, then you can clone the starter files in the description. There's a link to those, and we can get that going. So let's get started. So we're going to be using React Hook Form for our form. So we can install that just by saying npm install React Hook Form. And you know, multi-step forms, they're not as complicated as, you know, a lot of people would seem to think. So we're gonna, first of all, we're gonna use state, and we're also gonna import use form from React Hook Form. And once we've got that installed, we can run our dev server. So if you did clone the starter files, just run npm install, and then you can npm run dev after you've installed React Hook Form. So the first thing we need to do to use React Hook Form, we're going to need to, what are we going to need? We're going to need register, values, and errors. And that's all we're going to need for now, equals use form. We're going to need handle submit. Register, errors, handle submit. I don't actually think we need values. Is values a thing? No, yeah, we already get the values. So it is use form, so that's great. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to break this down into 3 components so that it's quite easy to read. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to have 3 totally separate forms. So you can see here we've got this form with the 6 inputs. So what I'm going to do is let's make a components folder, and let's make a step 1, a step 2, and then let's make a step 3 file. Oh, I don't want that extension. Okay, and then once we've got that, let's just export default function, step 1. Oh. And then let's just return div for now, which is step 1. And then we can do that in step 2, and we can do that in step 3. So we've now got our 3 steps. In our index page, what we're going to want to take out here is the whole form. So let me just grab the whole form. I'm going to paste that into step 1. So we take the whole form, and then I'm going to remove everything except this full name div and the email div. So everything except this submit button. So once I've removed those, this button is just going to be next. It's not going to be a submit button. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drop this button outside of the form, because I don't want it to, like a button in a form, it may submit the form. I've had that issue before. And we're going to need these, a React fragment, because we've got 2 things. So let's do the same thing again. Did I paste anything else? I'm not sure. So let's grab the form. Oh, I just hit paste, I think. Yeah, let's grab the form again, and we'll put that into step 2. We'll do the fragment first this time. Let's paste the form, and then we're going to want to get rid of the div for the full name and the email, and then we're going to want to keep the phone and the message fields, and then we're going to want to get rid of the where did you hear about us and do you have any feedback. Let's drop the button again outside of the form so we don't submit. What's going wrong there? I'm taking the div as well. That's cool. Okay, perfect. And then again for step 3, you know what we're gonna do. Fragment. Paste everything inside, and we only want to keep, do you have any feedback? Where did you hear about us? Let's get rid of all the rest, like so. Why is that not? If I delete it too much. Why is it not liking this? Return. Wow, we need to close a function. Sorry guys, I was a little confused. Do you have any feedback? It wasn't auto-complete, and I wasn't sure why. Auto format, sorry. So where did you hear about us? Do you have any feedback? Let's drop the button below the form. I wasn't sure in step 1 if I took the div as well. No, I didn't. So let's take the div down as well, just so it's clear. And then in our index page, let's get rid of the form completely. We don't need it now. And what we're going to put in here, let's just put in here step 1 and make sure that's working okay. So we got step 1 and next. So let's actually, on these buttons, we can add a margin top of, I don't know, 10, something like that, give it a big gap. So let me just take that and add it to these as well. So it looks right. There we go. So we've got our form. Now, of course, it's not doing anything right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get our React hook form, and we're just going to make this form inside of step 1, and I'm going to do this. We're not going to cover error handling. I covered that in my last video on forms. So I'm not actually going to take any errors here. Let's just take the register and handle submit. And we're going to want to do that in all of these steps actually. Like I said, we've got three separate forms going on. So let's bring that in. Let's bring that in. And then let's bring the register and the handle submit into each of these as well. And then I just want to make let's make a handle submit function, which will, so for step 1, we want to do our onSubmit function, so we'll say function onSubmit, and then let's console log values. That's going to take values, and we will we'll change the stage. So let's register these. So in all the form inputs, we're going to say ref equals register. So let's do that on both of those. And let's just do that on the whole form now while we're here. So we'll just add this ref equals register to all of the inputs, like so. So our form's now registered, all the inputs are registered, sorry. And they've all got a unique name. So you can see full name, email, and that's where React hook form is taking the input name from, the name on your field. So make sure those are all unique if you're not using the start files. If you are, then it's all set up for you. So onSubmit values, and then on our form tag at the top here, we want to say onSubmit equals, and we're going to say handle submit, and we're going to pass in our onSubmit function to handle submit. So of course this handle submit is coming from React hook form, and this onSubmit is the function that we're defining here. So this is what it's going to do. So it's just going to console log the values. So if I pull up the console here, and we put in here some stuff, sd@gmail.com next. Yeah, so our button isn't actually isn't actually submitting the form, which is actually what I want. I'm really sorry, I've got this all confused. So we want to, we do want it to submit the form. Type equals submit. Okay, so if we hit next now. Okay, perfect. So we've now got this form linked in. So let's do the same thing here. So we'll add this onSubmit function into step 2 and step 3 as well, like so. And then let's also add the onSubmit equals handle submit on the form, like so. So now we should be able to, and let's move these buttons back inside the form, where they were originally. Okay, perfect. So we now have everything kind of working, but in three different steps, right? So within our index page, I want to use state, so I want to say const, and then let's call this the step and set step equals use state, and we're going to start at step 1, and then I'm going to say const form values and set form values equals use state, and we'll just start that off as an empty object. That's fine. And then we're going to pass a lot of this stuff down into these steps. So it says step 1, we need the set step passing down. So if you've never passed down these set state things, it's a pretty common thing to do, which will basically allow us to set this state inside our step 1. So we want to set the step, we want to have the form values, and I'll show you why in a second, and we want to set the form values. Set form values, set form values. So we now have those things. So within step 1, what I would like to do on submit, I'm going to want to set form values, and we need to bring that stuff in our function. So we've got our set step form values and set form values. So we're going to set the form values, which is an object, and we're going to take the previous form values, and then we're going to add here our values, like this. And what we could do is we could say, yeah, let's do this. So if we again type in some random stuff, hit next. If we go into our React components, if we look at our home component, we've got our state with the values of, and that's not what we want. We want to merge these values in as well, like so. So let me just refresh that. What we did is we put the values, which gave us a values object, and we didn't want that. So if we do this again now, you can see we've got a state, we've got full name and email here. And then what we also want to do is we want to set the step to 2 when we've done that. So if we do that again, you can see this state here, it changes to 2. So let's bring up our home page again, and we will now link this up so it actually has multiple steps. So underneath awesome form, let's just say here step, and then that will be 1, 2, or 3 of 3. So we're on step 2 of 3 right now, apparently. Let's just wrap those in a p tag like so. Step 3 of 3. And then, yeah, let's give this a bit of padding just so we can see it a bit better. Give it a bit of space. Yeah, we got a lot of padding on this. Yeah, we don't need all that stuff. says matching bottom 20. Okay, step 1 of 3. I can't look at it like that, sorry. I know this isn't about style and it just is making my eyes bleed. Okay, so we're on step 1 of 3 again. If we type in our name and email and hit next, we move on to step 2 of 3 within the state. However, nothing's changing. So let's add some conditional rendering here. So if we say if step equals 1, then we want to display this. If step equals 2, then we want to display step 2. And we're going to need to let's copy that down a couple of times. Copy that down a couple of times. Step 2. And then we want step 3. And then if the step equals 3, then we want to display step 3. Okay. And then, so what's this submit button showing now? So we're on step 2. So I just want, again, next. And then on step 3, it will be submit. Perfect. So on step 3, so step 2, we need to do the same thing as step 1, where we set the form values and then we set the step to 3. And then on step 3, we need to do the same again. We're not going to set the step. Let's just console log out form values. Okay, so let's go back. So our name, email, and we hit next. We're on step 2, phone number, message, and we broke it. Set form values is not defined. So of course we didn't pull in this stuff. Unexpected token, set step. Oh. Paste it over there. There we go. Okay, so it looks to be working. Let's go one more time. Next, phone number. You can see I do a lot of dodgy typing into forms. And then where did you hear about us? Yeah, I'm not going to put anything serious. Okay, so when we console log now, we have lots of values, so not bad. We didn't get these third lots of values. I think if we did it now we would, yep. So you can see the set form values, that console log, it got it a little bit before. Okay, so hopefully you can see the premise of this now. So we could, if we wanted to, when we're in step 3, of course we want to set the form values, console log, and I think we wouldn't even have to set the form values like this. I mean, of course we can, but if we just wanted to get it the first time, we would just say form values, and then we add in our values, like so. So then if we go through that again, on the first time that we submit it, when we do that console log, we will have everything. So that's great, and it will be available in state. Now, of course, the downside of doing it like this, if someone refreshes, then it's gone. But hey, it's a multi-step form. If you want to, keep it through refreshes, you can either, upon going between stages, you would submit it to a database, or alternatively, you could submit it to local storage. So, yeah, so how would this work now? We need a function to do our submitting. So we've got an onSubmit function here. So, whatever it is that we wanted to do, we could do this onSubmit function. So if we wanted to, I'll just show you really quickly with an API route. So we might want to say in here, const, we don't even need to say that, data equals request.body, and then let's console log the data, and then we'll send the data back by response. And then in this on submit, we could do, is fetch gonna work with this without an absolute URL? Let's try it. So our on submit, let's make this async function on submit. You know what, it won't work. Let me just let me install Axios. So const config equals URL is just going to be /API / hello. The data is just going to be this. Method, let's just say post. And we can set content, oh no, sorry, headers. And we can say content type is application JSON. Then we can say Axios, and we pass in the config. So then we'll say const response equals await Axios, like if response of status equals 200, let's cancel log success, and then I'm not even sure what success, and now we can do the response data, for example. We should definitely be doing a try catch, but hey ho. So that should get the data to the back end for us pretty quickly. So let's just run our dev server. Sorry, I'm just trying to rush through that so I can show you how you would get the data to the back end and actually use the data. In my previous video on contact forms, where we looked at, you know, doing the contact form on the front end, we did validation, making things required. We made the errors display on the UI. We did regex pattern matching, and then also send an email through an API route with Node Mailer. So if you want to get more in depth about how to do that stuff, then feel free to check out that video. But for now, if we submit, then you can see we got a success. So this worked. Success came back, and then we got our response back. You see this is the response.data console login, and then in our backend, so on the server side, you can see we actually have the data here from our form, and then you could go off and do whatever you wanted with that data. So you can do multi-step forms in a multitude of different ways, to be totally honest. However, just having these 3 separate forms which links into some form of state is often a really good solution. So yeah, hopefully this was good for you. Hope you learned something. I shall see you in the next video.